I've got no proof. This is just my own personal idea. Does anyone want to comment on that?
So every religion is a parent saying, well, just because I said so.
It gives an answer as to, why the sun rises.
Yeah, and if we don't kill if we kill the Hog Father, then the sun won't rise. It'll just be a big flaming ball.
As I said, I'm not saying that they're the right answers, but it is an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you obviously think a lot of that.
It's more satisfying than not knowing, right? Knowing the wrong thing can be more satisfying than not knowing anything.
You put it so much better than
I have a lot of speculations that I think would be interesting to see what-if situations, seeing how people would react. And one of the things that I speculate about sometimes is, what would it be like for an alien race to actually make contact with us? And this alien race, a couple of examples. Let's say they have their own religion and it's completely different than anything we have. Right, and of course they consider everything we believe to be poppycock, and they begin pushing theirs. Now we've seen that in sci-fi, and I don't think it's that interesting. What I think would be interesting is an alien race who cannot conceive of the ability to lie to oneself, to assert as fact that which is not evidently true, and to believe anything on faith. So when this alien race comes down and then they start picking up stories about our gods and whatnot, their reaction, and how would humanity react to an alien race saying, you guys are completely full of it and smoking crack?
Well, you're actually describing the aliens from Galaxy Quest quite accurately there. So what you might find is that they believe everything we say as if it's gospel absolute truth.
I hate that expression.
Side of the scale, I think, but yes.
I'm sorry, I hate that expression, gospel truth.
Sorry. I just slipped out. It's a dirty word. No.
Well, I told DPR earlier, bless you, when he sneezed.
Yeah,
I go back to the invention of lying. I mean, that is what a society would look like, with not only not lying, but no omissions. And he bends the rules quite a bit, and then he invents religion, and it's the first lie that's ever told. Well, not quite the first lie, but one of the first big ones. And the effect that has on the society. Suddenly everyone who was so depressed is suddenly happy. I'm really interested to hear what he was thinking when he came up with that script, because it's an interesting concept.
It is an interesting concept. It's also quite a fun film. And what I like as well is they call it the Magic Man in the Sky. So that is the appropriate thing. John, unless there's anything else, I'm going to move on because I've got a couple of people waiting. But thank you for your call.
That's great. Thank you.
How about the thing what is it? The thing that for which there is no known maker? I've always liked that one from Non-Stamp Collector.
Who's Non-Stamp Collector?
Heard of him?
No.
Very minor guy.
No, I don't think I have. Right, well, I've been looking forward to this next call. As I say, it's been some time since I've spoken to Shelley, but this is Shelley Summers. Welcome to the show, Shelley. Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Hello, can you hear me?
Very loud and clear. How are you?
Hello?
We could hear you.
We lost her.
She appears still online. Have you muted your mic in error?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can now.
Yep, we can again.
Alright, cool beans.
How have you been, Shelley? It's been a while.
I've been pretty good.
Good.
That was a good follow-up, by the way, DPR with Nephilim Free.
Follow-up?
When you called into his show.
Oh, yes, I didn't last long.
Actually, I just wanted to call up and see if Aaron was actually going to make a reply to e-questions videos.
I'm not aware of them. Do you want to explain what they are? Because there may be some people in the chat that aren't familiar with them.
Yeah, e-questions made a series of videos dripping with vitriol, wherein he accuses me of having made up one of my statistics he did, like that I got on a PowerPoint and just randomly made up these numbers. And what had happened actually was, much to my embarrassment, was I chose a chart that actually did exist, but I chose a chart that was giving a comparison of the rate of growth unfortunately, when I grabbed this chart, you know how sometimes you'll look at an image and you think it's from one source and it turns out to be another when you expand on it further.
Can I just pause you? I'm very sorry to interrupt you. Whoever's just tried to call me, if you want to come onto the show, please send a message. Don't call us, we'll call you, and if you call again, I'll have to block you. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Aaron.
No problem. So this guy accuses me of lying based entirely on this chart that he couldn't find, and I was really surprised to find that I couldn't either. It eventually turned out that I had sourced a chart from New Zealand, not from the U.S. However, the chart that I used didn't have any impact at all on anything that I'd actually said. I mean, I was talking about how people claiming no religion were the second largest demographic with respect to religion in the United States. That's still true. I said that Christianity was in decline. That's still true. All of the statements that I was making based on that were all still true. And this guy that was accusing me of lying lied about me allegedly prefacing my argument to destroy religion. He lied about me telling people anything I want to after that. He lied about me making up my own chart. He lied about the headlines for the Yuri Miller experiment. He lied about tectonic. He also lied about the Piltdown hoax. And he lied about my alleged motivations. And ultimately, he lied about me lying. So it seems pointless to me to come back to make a video answering this because other people have. They showed that the chart that I used actually did exist, and so he was wrong about that. They showed that they countered every claim that he made, and then he just creates another video ignoring that he had just been proven wrong on everything that he just said. So it's another shock of God syndrome, where he's never going to admit that he's wrong about anything. Now, I've created a venue in the League of Reason forums. I've invited this guy to come out because him and two of his cohorts were lobbing all these queries at me in multiple videos, so it's impossible to follow the conversation. It's three different guys stretched out over my profile page and multiple videos at the same time. Some of these things are being flagged as spam. It takes forever to try to piece it together. Nobody can follow it in context. The only thing we could do is to put it all together in one forum where everybody can actually tell what the hell is going on. So I gathered it up, put it all in the League of Reason forum, and invited them to discuss it with me there. And, of course, because they know they don't have a leg to stand on and have been lying like schmucks since the beginning, they're not going to do that.
Shelly?
Yeah.
Did you want to comment on that?
Right, am I broadcasting?
You're breaking up a little bit.
You cut out a little bit, but you seem to be good now.
Alright, some of the things that are actually in his videos that he shows one chart, he shows another chart. There's actually a chart in between the two, and says that the percentage of growth for each one of Catholics, other Christians, what have you, is actually 37%, which is what is on the New Zealand chart. I did have a question for concordance. You're like a doctorate person, right?
You make that sound as it's an insult.
Well, actually, one of the links on the eQuestions video, it goes to this. He tries to say it's a peer-reviewed paper. I found it on the APA site, but the one that it shows is on, it's from a school in Texas, and it says, and it's watermarked with, and it says AP Proofs.
It's an Aggie paper.
A what paper?
But it's probably
Here in Texas, the paper's from Texas A&M University, and here in Texas we tell Aggie jokes, Aggies being graduates of Texas A&M. One of my favorites was if you wanted to hear the joke of the day, you would dial up 1-800-AGGIE-IQ on a regular telephone back before they started including the letter Q on your touchpad.
The irony being, of course, that the Aggie jokes are produced in book form by the Texas A&M University Press, so they're the ones who actually profit. Can you describe it a little better, and I'll actually pull it up while we're talking about it?
I can put the link for the page in the chat if you want. Alright, just a sec.
What's the question, though?
I'm just wondering if this was actually peer-reviewed.
You will see in a lot of online journals that they will put up the author proof, and that is the submitted manuscript received by the journal. Before it goes into press, the people who publish the journal don't put it into a professional-looking format. So you'll see it basically as it was submitted from the author. So just because it says proof on it doesn't mean it's not a peer-reviewed journal or that it's not a legitimate paper. Is something particularly shocking?
Well, yeah, it is, because what I had done is I had submitted a number of news stories, and the reason I chose news stories is because whenever you try to source peer-reviewed material, whether you get it from PubMed or any number of other sites, you have to have a login in order to be able to see the material. So if I'm going to show a link, very often I can't use peer-reviewed sites unless, not if I'm going to show a link to it. And this is what I was doing in the League of Reason forums. I'm trying to show links, and so you can't see these things. The only thing I can show a link to and actually have you see the content that I want you to see is if I use news sites, because they stay up for a while, and you can actually view them without having to log into something. But what he did was he found a paper that he said, I haven't been able to read it yet because my computer will not pull up the damn thing. It says it won't redirect properly. But he said that his single article was from Texas A&M was peer-reviewed, and that it went completely against all of the dozen or so studies that I had referenced, wherein these other studies had made the news. And so somehow his Aggie material managed to overturn all of that. And then he ridiculed me as if I didn't know what a peer-reviewed journal was, when at least one of the ones that I was sourcing was exactly that, without a news story attached to it.
Can we just
Can we
just deal with the issue of peer review, because I think it's something that I didn't fully understand it, and I suspect a lot of people don't. But there are different quality of journals, and even though something may be peer reviewed, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's appeared in a particularly respectable journal. One that Nephilim seems to have latched onto recently is the Journal of Cosmology, which YouTube user CS Bear, who's actually he's been upped, actually, he's somewhere in the chat, has made a very good video about Nephilim's reliance on the Journal of Cosmology, which is apparently peer-reviewed, but there is a way of judging the quality of a scientific journal, and that is by its impact factor. Concordance, you just want to mention something about that? I know Science and Nature and journals like that have a very high one. The Journal of Cosmology doesn't feature.
Yeah, there's a number of different ways to apply metrics to how many other authors are using this paper or citing this paper in their own research. Of course, if you get a paper and no one else cites it, it's almost an evidence that it's poorly published or poorly thought out or has some major methodological flaw. And then, of course, there's just the cul-de-sacs of research where there may be 3 people actually doing it. As I look over this APA paper, if I've got the right one here, it's University of Miami, actually, but it is hosted on the A&M site. It is a highly recommended, it's a paper based highly on advocacy. So they are recommending research into a particular area. They obviously are not willing to stand on their own as drawing conclusions, and there's very few indications that there's any evidence being presented here. They're proposing models, and they're proposing a number of different mechanisms and independent observations, but there's not a whole lot of actual prospective research.
Well, if I remember correctly, what eQuestions was asserting was that his paper was supposed to show that non-believers were more likely to commit heinous atrocities and moral crimes, and that they represented a larger number of the prison population than the free world population, and basically everything opposite of all the statistics that I was able to find from any other source.